All right. So Eric is out. Oh no.
She's fine.
Okay, good.
She's fine, guys.
Good. Okay, good. Hey, real quick, Aries and Logan, did you guys get in my AP? Did you see my email about my AP College Board? Can you sign up for that real quick? Because I'm gonna just load this and make sure you're in. Because I think the two of you were the only ones that weren't in yet, which is fine. Just check an email for me, and that would be the easiest way to do it. And then I'll just make sure that you're on. There we go. My classes, because I'm going to start using this pretty soon. Okay, yeah, you're not in yet. So here's the code, or you can copy and paste that too. How's everybody doing? Everybody survived yesterday? I thought it flew by. About the day.
What are you talking about?
You thought the day took long?
Yeah.
I'm happy. What's that?
Lunch just like dry everything out.
Yeah.
So,
You thought it was worth fast.
Yeah, fourth period is awful.
yeah, first period. I studied, all I did was sit there.
You watch your mouth. You watch your mouth. I know yesterday they had some issues with sea lunch. If you're a sea lunch, because they were keeping you outside too long.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think Dr. Lippy came in because I eat sea lunch, and he came in and said he thinks they worked out those cases. They also were like the Heartland bus got there like way too early, like they were waiting for like 20 minutes, and then they're gonna I think they're gonna let them kind of do like an in-between lunch between B and C. I think that's how it's gonna go. So let me know if C lunch takes longer today than normal, because it should not take it should go a lot quicker, I think. Yeah.
Are you going to do our online book today?
Well, I'm so glad you asked that. I have all your online stuff on these cards, okay, that the textbook company gave me. And so I was just like, oh, I never gave you those cards yesterday. So I just went to my filing cabinet, and they're not there. The cards are not there. I think I took them home like when we left during the pandemic on March 13th, because I think I wanted to make sure if those kids couldn't remember their password to like get in there. So they're not in the spot. I'm freaking out. So my goal, that was what I was going to do. I was like, let's log into the textbook. So we'll do that tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll go home today and make sure I can find those at some point. So thank you. Yeah, for sure. Let me make sure these guys are in. You guys getting it? Okay, you find it okay? Okay, cool. Awesome. While we're waiting on those guys, everybody just go ahead and I have to do this unfortunately, but let's go ahead and log into Google Classroom and then open up the rules that I gave you in today's post. Just open those up, and I want to kind of cruise through these fairly quickly. All right, so I'm not going to read that top part. You got this, and you can easily share this with your folks if you want to. It's got kind of the standards and all that stuff in it. Okay, and so hopefully tomorrow you get the online textbook. I will tell you that this textbook is now in its third edition. This is the third edition. You have the second edition. Wait, you have the second edition, right? This one, right? Okay. We just don't. The third one's nice. I actually I became an AP reader in 5 years ago. And when I did that, I started to make some fun contacts. And I also, I'm not a huge fan of textbooks. Like, I think like for the most part, textbooks are pretty boring. This is not the only textbook that I've used over the years. I used to use a book called Cunningham, and I want to make sure I was recording. And then this book came out, and I completely fell in love with this book. And so I got to know the book rep, this guy named Tommy, and Tommy was like, "Man, you like the book?" I was like, "Man, I love the book." I go, "If you ever need any recommendations, just let me know. I will like tell all my friends like this is the book. It's readable. It's broken down into sections that I believe are really accessible to you, to me." And so I got a call. It's been a year ago from a lady named Yolanda. She's like, "Hey, Javen, Tommy gave me your name. Are you interested in working on the third edition?" And I was like, "Oh, yes." And I was like, I know it's really geeky, but like, so she's like, "Well, we've got the text pretty much done, but what we need is someone to write test questions for an online, like an online testing site called Sapling." So I spent, I don't know how many hours working for this textbook company and writing the questions for the online thing, which was like really hard work, but it was awesome. It was like so much fun. I loved it. And I've got some good feedback, and I got my name in this book too. So that was kind of exciting. So anyways, I'm going to use this book, not like it's, God's gift to, AP environmental science, but I really like it a lot. Okay. So don't think that this is just like one of those things that's hopefully, going to collect dust. Okay. I will also tell you that when I first started using this book, they have wonderful questions like at the end of the chapter. And so I assigned those for homework. Okay. I assigned those for homework, and they've got great multiple choice stuff. And then there was this girl that was like super sweet girl, and she was like failing all the tests, but like nailing the homework, like nailing it. I was like, "Man, what's wrong?" And then I Googled all of the textbook questions, and boom, guess what popped up? All the answers. This was even before Quizlet, right? Everyone like, yeah, Quizlet gives me the answers to everything, right? I know this, okay? But I want you to really get into the materials. So sorry for you, but I write all my own stuff, okay? So you can't really, there's stuff you're gonna be Googling, but you can't just like cut and paste the question into the document, into the Googles, and it instantly gives you, Javen Burnworth's Quizlet answers, right? So again, okay, the book, well, this one, okay, and then soon, hopefully tomorrow's, fingers crossed, with the online, that we'll be using it weekly, okay? And for the most part in this class, I have a weekly assignment on Google that like a 10 to 15 questions. The questions are always going to be worth around 30 points. The tests, all my tests, you're going to have multiple choice, and you're going to have an FRQ on every single test. I will not grade every single FRQ, because if you've ever taken an AP class, like one FRQ has like 5 parts, and those 5 parts are like all over the board. Okay, there's not one FRQ for chapter 1. Are you with me on this? Okay, so for about 9 weeks, you're gonna take a test, multiple choice, with an FRQ, but we're gonna use the FRQ as like kind of practice. If you write stuff down and try, you get the points. If you don't write stuff down and don't try, then you don't get the points for that, right? Okay, it's kind of like you try, great, you got your 10 points. All FRQs are worth 10 points. Okay, y'all with me on this? Okay, the multiple choice for this class will always be worth 2 points. Okay, so instead of weighing the test, I just make the tests worth more. Okay, y'all with me on this? Okay, So, and we shoot for a test every about 2 weeks. Okay, I have to get through 20 chapters before totally having a brain fart here. AP test dates 2021. Your test will be second week. It will be in the afternoon. It's the last AP test. I've never been the last AP test. So May 14th, the day before my birthday. Okay, at noon. Okay, so that test, you will have to go to lunch early that day. You will maybe not be out until 3:45-ish. Okay, most people are out by 3:30. I mean, we've had good success with that, but we'll warn you about all this later. The test is free, okay, to people in Indiana, which is awesome. Okay, it'll be 80 multiple choice questions, okay, for 90 minutes, and then 4 FRQs for 90 minutes. Okay, so it's crazy, and fingers crossed it won't be online at all. Oh, that was horrible.
How many questions was it?
They had 2 questions online, and it was they gave us all your answers, by the way. Did you know that? So I got every single one of my 8, and Greta got all of hers too. So we got to look at yours, okay, and then so because I had one person that got a 1, and I was like, what in the world? Like, this person was like rocking the tests. I need to ask this person like what they did wrong. Did they just not try? I mean, it was the weirdest thing. Like, I mean, all people in that class, I was like, what? It's like one of those. And then I looked at that person's answers, because we as teachers I was ready to go to bat for this person, because I could email the College Board and say, this person should even a 2, right? And so, hey, here she is. Hi. 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 Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, we're just talking about AP test. It's May 14th at nooner. Okay, 80 multiple choice questions, 4 FRQs. I was just talking about last year's scores a little bit. You haven't missed much. Okay. I thought she might say something. So anyway, so I read this person's, okay? They also gave us the rubrics, okay? So I have the rubric for this person's question. I'm looking at it, and this person 100% deserved a 1. I think, so on this year's AP test, you could use like your notes, your book, the internet. I think this person just tried to Google the answers, and you could not do that. Like, you might be able to Google like, what is a GMO, and find out that, but that's not going to give you the answer to the question. And I think they freaked. I seriously need to ask this person and find out what's going to happen. I don't know. Okay, so we will be ready May 14th, and this is also very, very good, because our test used to be the Monday after prom weekend. Let me tell you how horrible that was. Okay, I had one individual that puked in the middle of the test. I think they were still a little like, I don't know. So there you go. That's the AP test. Hey, you guys, did you guys get into this thing? You got in? Okay, I'm just going to refresh you and make sure that you're in. Yes, there you are. Yes, there you are. Fantastic. All right, let's go back then to, so there's that. Let me just talk, usually in AP Environmental Science, I don't even go through like the rules, but because of our current situation, let me just kind of breeze through some of this stuff. And some of you have been with me before. Okay, when we do labs, just use common sense, right? Don't stab anybody in the face. I don't think we're using any knives per se. We might use a knife at one point, but my goal is always no blood. That's nice. No blood. Okay, again, I'm pretty chill. Okay, I don't like to write people up. I think in the last 27 years, I've only written up a handful of people, and 99.99999% of the time, it is a freshman in biology 1. Some of you have seen me get mad, and it's in that bio 1 class. I don't know. Did I get mad in any of your classes in bio 1?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, once or twice, but it's always when somebody's doing something like idiotic, and so I think I've never written up anybody in APES. Like that would be weird. I did write up one kid in anatomy once. Can I mute myself real quick? Yeah. Sorry, I'll tell you the story later, Maggie, if you want to hear it.
Okay.
Okay. Here's a couple real important things, though. Don't just get out of your seat without permission, okay? And not because I don't trust you, but just because of this whole COVID thing, right? This is more important than ever. Just raise your hand if you need to throw something away, or if you need to like sharpen your pencil. This is a touchless. You stick it in and it grinds away. Okay, stop it. Okay, and then there you go. Sorry. If you look at the back of the room, there's a shower. Okay, everybody look at the shower in the back room. There's the Indiana flag. There's Bob Dylan. Okay, if you look at the floor of the shower, do you notice there's something missing? There's no drain. Okay, so also if you pull the shower, that water will come out like 50 gallons a second. It's like crazy, but there's no spring on that handle, so it stays down. So one time, it's about 20 years ago, this kid, Aaron Taylor, pulled the shower. I was like out of the room, and then he thought it would just shut off, like spring back up. He didn't realize that you have to push it back up to like shut it off, and the entire back room was flooded in a very short amount of time. So, by the way, that shower has not been pulled for probably 20 years now, and that water's been sitting in those pipes. When he pulled it, it smelled like swamp butt. I mean, it was like the stinkiest. It was bad. So I can't even imagine what it smells like. I should drain it at some point, but like, I don't know. Maybe that's part of the punishment. You get like stank water on you. Okay, so don't pull that unless you're on fire. You got chemical burns. Unless you have, like, usually we were pretty loose. Grant and I were pretty loose about the like going into the prep room. If you need to go to her room for some reason, just ask me for permission and don't like open up any doors. Okay, right? Okay. So just ask me before you ever go into the prep room. I'm not worried about getting in here when the bell rings. Be cool technology. I mean, it's ridiculous that I have to say that to you guys, but I'm just saying it to say it out there. I like the technology, obviously. Like, I got the camera here, I got this Chromebook here, I got my computer. I'm also on my phone. I might be using the iPad some. I love this stuff, man. I love the tech. Okay, but I don't want it to be taken away. You guys, I'm fine with the phones. Okay, somewhat. Okay, there are some people that know I've had to take phones away. Okay, I know. I had to do it a couple times. Just be cool, right? I don't want to have to say this quote. This is why we can't have nice things. Okay, maybe you've heard me tell the story again, but that comes from my friend Kyle Boone. He was a former student. He was in my class in 2010. His mom, Jennifer Boone, is a secretary at MIS. And he came into class one day. He's like, Burnworth, did you hear what happened last night? I was like, no, what? He's like, somebody got stabbed at the pool hall. And there's a pool hall. There used to be a pool hall. You know where Red Moon Antiques is? It's not there anymore. That was a pool hall. There was like all kinds of pool tables up in the top, and they had like a party room in the basement. It was kind of a cool place, but like then it kind of got weird. And anyway, somebody got stabbed and they had to shut it down. And he's like, yeah, somebody got stabbed. They have to shut it down. He goes, this is why we can't understand this. I was like, man, I'm using that. I love it. Okay, there you go. I don't have to talk about that. I like to get Deb as a sub if I have to have a sub because I love her. She's so nice. Be nice to Deb. I have had to write people up for like not being nice to Deb. Like what kind of person is not nice to Deb? Like they must have a dead heart, you know, like, or maybe not a soul. I'm not sure. Don't cheat. Turn your homework. Okay, so all right. Here's the deal. Okay. And this is something I'm not going to budge on at all. Buy one, some kid comes to me and says like, oh man, I've got an F and I'm going to die if I don't, not get an F. Can I turn in something that was due like August 3rd? Like, okay, dude, fine. This class, no late work, okay? It's automatic zeros. Like, and you can't. I had 2 people fail this class last year. 2. One individual, I've never had this before. One individual failed the class because that individual did 0 homeworks. 0, okay? First semester, okay? I couldn't believe it, okay? Like, I was like, dude, do this work, like, come on. And just kept getting behind, and then just finally gave up, okay? Stuck with the class. Did much better online at home and actually did the work then, which was crazy. Maybe they just needed to do it on their own time. I'm not sure. But like, do the work. Okay. I'll give you, of course, the day that you're absent. I'll give you a percentage off. So one day late, 30%. Okay. But then after that, that's it. Okay. Right. I mean, I know we all have those times where we just don't get our work done. Okay. So that's where that 30% comes. But 2 days late, then that's not it. Okay, do not ask me to do this. I'm not going to budge on that. And I know it's ridiculous, but this is a college class. Okay. By the way, okay, this is probably the only time I'm going to say this. Okay, but you are all getting college credit for this class. Okay, from Ivy Tech. Now, okay, nothing against Ivy Tech, but sometimes people don't accept those college credits. Okay, that's why we will all be taking the AP exam as well. Okay. The AP exam is much more preferred by certain colleges than the Ivy Tech. If you, let's say you get like something happens, you have horrible, time and you get a 2 on the exam, well, then hopefully, fingers crossed, that Ivy Tech will work for you, right? Okay. Did you all know that? You get credit for this? Okay, cool. I'm pumped about that. I don't love grading papers, but when you turn in homework, I will most likely grade it the day it was due, or if not the day after. Okay. I just like to get that stuff off my plate. Okay. So just to let you know, I will update Google Classroom frequently. Let's talk about that later. All the rest of the stuff for the most part is just like all the standards. So kind of what we're doing throughout the year. Okay. And you can give those a look if you want, but you don't have to. Okay. Any questions about how we roll in here? Any questions about the rules? Any questions about the homework, about the textbook? Anything at all? Maggie, you got any questions?
Nope.
Cool. All right, everybody share Chromebooks here for a minute. Thanks.
Welcome.
All right, so some of you, this will be the 50 millionth time you've heard this, but I do it somewhat for you, but a lot for me. and some of you, this is shocking but cool. This is the first time you've been in my class, and I'm pumped about all you people that I've never had before, which is crazy. I'm pumped. I get very excited about that. So anyway, when I went to Taylor University, as I said. Did I tell you that? I went to Taylor, and then got my master's at Goshen in environmental education. But as a freshman at Taylor University, this guy named Walt Campbell read what I'm going to read to you, and that for some reason it just stuck with me. And then when I became a teacher, I was like, I'm going to read that on like one of the first days of school, because it's a good reminder for me, but it also kind of gives me the opportunity to kind of tell you, what I hope this class will eventually do for you. And that is help you to become a seer. Okay. I want you to really see things differently. Okay. At the end of this class. And I think this class is one of those classes. I was telling anatomy, I was like, that class, we all have bodies. You're all going to have those moments, I hope, in anatomy where you're like, oh, I never realized I had that organ in there. I never realized I had that like chemical in my body, that sort of stuff. But this class, man, we're living in this planet, right? And climate change is happening, whether you want to admit it or not. And the future for you and the future for your children might look different than it was 100 years ago. Okay, and I hope that what we can get from the end of this class is not just about climate change, but about just how the world works. And I hope you have some of those moments like I had no idea about that sort of stuff. Okay, so let me read you this little passage from a book called Pilgrim at Tinker Creek by a woman named Annie Dillard. She's a great author. It's short. Just listen to me here for a second. When I was 6 or 7 years old, growing up in Pittsburgh, I used to take a precious penny of my own and hide it for someone else to find. It was a curious compulsion. Sadly, I've never been seized by it since. For some reason, I always hid the penny along the same stretch of sidewalk up the street. I would cradle it at the roots of a sycamore, say, or in a hole left by a chipped off piece of sidewalk. Then I would take a piece of chalk and, starting at either end of the block, draw huge arrows leading up to the penny for both directions. After I learned to write, I labeled the arrows "Surprise Ahead" or "Money This Way." I was greatly excited during all this arrow drawing at the thought of the first lucky passerby who would receive in this way, regardless of merit, a free gift from the universe. But I never lurked about. I would go straight home and not give the matter another thought until, some months later, I would be gripped by the impulse to hide another penny. It's still the first week in January, and I've got great plans. I've been thinking about seeing. There are lots of things to see, unwrapped gifts and free surprises. The world is fairly studded and strewn with pennies cast broadside from a generous hand. But, and this is the point, who gets excited by a mere penny? If you follow one arrow, or if you crouch motionless on a bank to watch a tremulous ripple thrill on the water and are rewarded by the sight of a muskrat kit paddling from its den, will you count that sight a chip of copper only and go your rueful way? It is dire poverty indeed when a man is so malnourished and fatigued that he won't stoop to pick up a penny. But if you cultivate a healthy poverty and simplicity, so that finding a penny will literally make your day, then since the world is in fact planted in pennies, you have with your poverty but a lifetime of days. It is that simple. What you see is what you get. Let me read that last part again if you happen to space out. It is dire poverty indeed when a man is so malnourished and fatigued that he won't stoop to pick up a penny. But if you cultivate a healthy poverty and simplicity, so that finding a penny will literally make your day, then, since the world is in fact planted in pennies, you will have with your poverty but a lifetime of days. It is that simple. What you see is what you get. So let me tell you how this kind of became real to me after I read this, and I thought about a story when I was 15 years old. So when I was 15, I was living in Hartford City. My uncle was living in Louisiana, and he and his wife decided to move back. And they bought a house out on Lake Tippy. Anybody been to Lake Tippecanoe? Yeah, it's a great place. Okay, and so I was stoked. As a 15-year-old, I was like, this is going to change my life. Okay, my uncle has a lake house on Lake Tippy. That means every summer okay, when I'm in my high school, prime, I'm going to be able to jet ski, I'm going to tube, I'm going to wakeboard, I'm going to go to Tippy Dance Hall, I'm going to meet a girl, I'm going to make out with that girl, I'm going to meet another girl, make out with another one, and like go swimming with like girls. I mean, it was going to be awesome. I was like, this is it. This is the best thing that could happen to a 15-year-old boy, right? Okay, so they moved in. So my dad and my mom, and my brother, who's 4 years younger than me, his name is Jeremy, went to my uncle's house. And it's about an hour, 45-minute drive from Hartford City. I remember almost all of that drive. I remember the songs that were playing on the radio. The weather was kind of cloudy. It was like, but I was ready to get there. I was like, man, when are we going to get there? It was like, felt like the longest drive ever. So we get there. Of course, my uncle's like, let me give you a tour of the house. I'm like, oh, I don't need to see the house. Let's get on the water, right? He had 2 kids. We still have 2 kids, but they at the time were 4 and 3. Their little kids are cute, Thomas and Baxter. And so we go to the tour of the house, and he lives on the channel. So not like right on the lake, but pretty much like you just go around this curve and you're on the lake, right? So, but he's up on this hill. So finally he said, let's get on the water. I was like, yes. So we go out the back of his house, and we're kind of walking down the hill, and I couldn't tell which pier was his and which boat was his because they're all kind of like together. You know what I mean? And so I'm walking down this hill, and I'm like, where's your jet skis? He's like, oh, no, we don't have any jet skis. I was like, what? You don't have any jet skis? I was like, well, where's your boat? He's like, points to this pontoon boat with like, I kid you not, like a fishing boat motor on it. Like this, I mean, it went like 35 miles max. Have you ever tried to like tube behind a fishing boat? It's like, oh, yeah, not much is happening. Like it was crazy. I know they make better fishing boats that go super fast, but this one was like a trawler, And so I was like, no, this is crazy. So we all get on the boat. I was depressed. He could tell I was bummed out. He's like, let's go swimming. Maybe you can like see some kids your age. Let's go over here to the sandbar. So we start getting to the sandbar. My aunt gets the anchor, and when she throws the anchor in, she drops it in. My 2 cousins, 4 and 3, they drop their swimsuits to their knees. They begin peeing off the side of the boat, and they're crossing streams and giggling. My aunt grabs one, pulls up the trouser, pulls up the swimsuit, pulls up the anchor, says, we got to get out of here. I know too many people. This is embarrassing. I'm like, what? We're not even going to swim? They're like, no, not here. We'll go somewhere else. I was like, you could be kidding. Okay, so my uncle is like, now he's like, well, he's like, I know you're kind of like starting to get into nature. Let's go to this place called Grassy Creek. And at this point, I didn't care. I didn't want to go to Grassy Creek. I wanted to get off that boat. I just wanted to like get home, right? It was ridiculous. So I'm spacing out. I'm watching the piers go by, just like pier, kind of like watching telephone poles, like when you're bored in the back of the, you know what I mean? I'm spaced out. And then I see this one pier, and it's longer than all the other piers. Okay, I'm like, this is kind of a weird pier. Like it caught my attention. Like it was different than all the others. It was longer, and it was like at this weird angle. And at the end, there was a statue of a bird. And I was like, oh, that's a cool statue. It's a great blue heron. You guys know great blue herons? Okay, great blue heron. A lot of people around here call them cranes. Look at that crane. It's not a crane. We also don't have buzzards here. Don't get me started on the buzzards. Okay, but great blue heron, kind of a tall bird. It's got a long neck, fishes. Okay, so it's on the edge of this pier. And I kid you not, like I thought it was a statue, and then I realized as we got closer, it was a real bird. I was like, look at that, hey, it's so cool. And then the bird jumps off of the pier into the water, like totally submerging itself. And I'm like, dear God, it's on a suicide mission, right? I mean, the water goes like glass. Like I'm like, this bird is dead, okay? And then all of a sudden, as I'm looking at the spot where it fell down, it emerges, but everything is happening in slow motion. Okay. It's like those football movies, like at the end where they need to win and they throw the football and the guy catches it. It's like, they're like touchdown. You know what I mean? Are you with me on this? Okay. Right. But now the bird's coming up out of the water and water's like dripping down. It's like water, and there's a fish in its mouth and the fish is like, and the bird like comes up and it lands in the same position. I can't do this because I would die. Okay, in the same position it was in, looking down at the water, but it tilts its head back. The fish goes down into its throat, and then it freezes again. I mean, the whole thing probably took like 20 seconds or so, but it felt like an hour. You know, you ever been in those situations where it's like, whoa, okay? And in that time, that 20 seconds, I forgot about the speedboat. I forgot about the jet ski. I forgot about swimming. I forgot about Tippy Dance Hall and like girls. I mean, I still wanted to make out with a girl and go to Tippy Dance Hall. That, I'm not saying that that went away, right? Okay, but I forgot about it. Okay, that's what seeing is. Okay, those moments where like that's the only thing that matters. That bird getting that fish and getting back on that pier. And I hope this year as seniors, man, you're seniors. Okay, you can find whatever that thing is for you. I still love birds. Man, this summer I saw a California scrub jay, okay, at Joshua Tree National Park. Gives me chills just kind of think about it, man. It was cool, man. I called the park and they're like, man, nobody's seen this bird in like 2 years. I was like, ugh. Okay, I still get jacked about that. You guys might not like birds as much as I do, okay, but hopefully there's something, okay? And if you don't know what that something is, okay, I hope you can find it this year. And I hope there are those moments where we're learning something. You're like, whoa, I had no idea about that. Right on? Hey, thanks for sticking with me, everybody. Thanks, Maggie.